Story 20, not a ghost story. Two men burst into the room where Jesus' friends were hiding. "He's alive!" they shouted. "Jesus is alive again! We've seen him! We've talked to him! We've even eaten a meal with him!" But before they could answer the chorus of how and when and where, someone else came into the room as well. But he didn't knock on the door, and he didn't push the door open. In fact, he didn't use the door at all. He was just there, like a ghost. And that's exactly what his friends thought when they saw him. "Jesus!" they cried, but it wasn't a "how nice to see you" kind of cry. No, it was more like a "oh dear, we're not sure we like this. We're not sure what's going on here." "There's no need to be afraid," said Jesus calmly. "I'm not a ghost. Honestly, God brought me back from the dead. And yes, he changed me, but it's still me. And if you come closer and take a look, you'll see for yourselves." So he showed them his hands. They even touched the places where the nails had been. And you can't touch the hands of a ghost. Then he showed them his feet, and they touched them too. And you can't touch a ghost's feet either. And when they still weren't sure, Jesus picked up a piece of fish and ate it. Now, you don't see ghosts down at the chip shop or the chip wagon, do you? Finally, when they were calm, Jesus talked with his friends. He told them that he really was the Messiah, the Saviour God had promised to send. And he explained to them that dying and coming back from the dead had always been part of God's plan for him. "Goodbye," he said at last. "I have to go." And no one dared ask him where. "But I'll see you again soon." And as quickly as he had come, he was gone. But not like a ghost. Never like a ghost. Just someone who was alive again forever. Now this story is about Thomas, and Thomas was one of the disciples, but he wasn't there the first time that Jesus appeared. So he didn't really believe it. And he says, "I don't believe it," a lot. So I want you to join in saying, "I don't believe it," with Thomas, okay? Here we go. Story 21. I don't believe it. "I don't believe it," said Thomas. "But he was here," said Jesus' friends. "I don't believe it," said Thomas. "But we saw him and we touched him," they cried. "I don't believe it," said Thomas. "We're sorry you weren't here. We're sorry you missed him. What more can we say?" They asked. "I don't care what you say," said Thomas. "I don't believe it." And then he paused, and then he thought, and then he spoke. "I'll tell you what. If Jesus comes back and lets me see him and touch him just like you did, then maybe, just maybe, I'll change my mind." So 1 week later, Jesus came back, and this time Thomas was there. "I don't believe it," said Thomas. "But it's true," said Jesus. "Look." So Thomas touched the nail prints in Jesus' hand, and Thomas touched the wound in Jesus' side. Then Thomas fell to his knees and worshipped him. "I do believe it," said Thomas. "I have seen him with my own eyes, touched him with my own hands, and it's true. Jesus really is alive again."